Hi, I'm John, and I'm a contactee. I've been having conscious experiences for the last 4 years, since the beginning of 2008. That initial experience, which I'll talk about in future videos, but that caused me to have a hypnotic regression, because I really didn't know what it was that happened. And in that hypnotic regression, I discovered that I have a connection with what I've since then learned to be Zetas, beings from the Zeta Reticuli system. And these are the guys with the big heads and the big black eyes. When we took a look at when they first showed up in this lifetime, because apparently I've had experiences with them in previous lifetimes, but in this lifetime they were there watching me be born. They were there in the delivery room, and I saw this as clear as day in the hypnotic regression. And I'm going to skip ahead. I'm not going to get into all of those experiences, but like I said, I'll do that in future videos. One of the times in this lifetime that they showed up was when I was 3 years old. And when I was 3, and I grew up in New York, my family took a trip to Lake Winnipesaukee, New Hampshire. Well, there were really only a couple of minor details that I remembered from that trip. But in this hypnotic regression, what I remembered was being awakened one night by the Zetas, and it felt like the same group of Zetas that I experienced in the hypnotic regression. They took me out, actually through the walls of the cabin, out into the woods. And when we went out there, the woods were lit up, and I couldn't see where the light was coming from, but there were other Zetas standing by the trees, and there were 2 deer standing in suspended animation. They were in mid-leap. So the taller of the Zetas took me over to this tree. I would say maybe 5 feet tall. Took me over to this tree, and we sat down, and he drew in the dirt with his long bony finger the earth and the moon, and then all these long lines way over to the other end of this patch of dirt that we were sitting on, and made a little dot. So that told me that that was their home, where they come from. So basically he was saying they come from far away. He told me in my head, I guess telepathically, that I was a part of something. Now again, I'm only 3 years old, and he's telling me that I was a part of this a network of consciousness, and it had to do with awakening many people, and it had to do with making contact. So that's when I was 3 years old. Now jump ahead to last year, April 18th of last year, which was 2011, and I wake up one night about 3 o'clock in the morning with a Zeta standing at the side of my bed. And this was my first conscious experience of having a face-to-face, a close encounter. And there he was, silhouetted by the light that was coming in through the window. So I couldn't see the front of his face clearly. All I could see was he had a big head and like a bony shoulder and a long, thin arm. And I could see the left side of his body better than I could see the right. The right was more in the shadows. And a little bit of his big eye. I couldn't see the whole thing, but it was very clear that this was a Zeta standing at the side of my bed. As soon as I became cognizant of him standing there, I see this blue beam of light being emitted from him, presumably from something he was holding, and it went into my solar plexus area. I couldn't really feel the blue light, but after a second or two, my whole body just went into convulsions. And it wasn't painful, but it wasn't pleasant. And so I went into convulsions, it relaxed, I went into convulsions again, it relaxed, and I could feel myself coming off the bed a little bit. So the third time that my body started convulsing, I said to him out loud, "Can you show me the ship?" And with that, he just vaporized right in front of me. And the whole while, I couldn't believe this was actually really happening. I mean, you know, for those of you who've had contact experiences, you know, it's like nothing else you've ever experienced in your life. So, trying to make a long story short, I emailed a whole bunch of people that I knew would be interested in it, and some of whom already have had contact experiences and know a lot more about it than I do. One of the things that most of them seemed to focus on was the blue beam. And although a couple of people felt it was a negative thing, most of them felt that it has to do with activating one's DNA in a very specific way. Well, over the following couple of months after that experience, I started to have this idea of devices, some kind of devices that would help to establish communication with star beings in general. I don't think it's limited to Zetas, but star beings in general. And as the months went on, the more and more this played in my consciousness, finally to the point of prompting me to make a set. But it wasn't until the following November, after April, I finally made the first one, which, and it's a set. There are two involved. This is a transmitter. The first one I made was a transmitter, and this is a receiver. And they're quartz crystals in a specific pattern with other crystals that have to do with star beings and making communication with star beings. And they're wired in specific ways with copper wire. To my amazement, when I held the first transmitter in my hand, I was immediately in its energy. And I thought I was going to have to put a lot of intention, a lot of programming into it, but these things have their own energy. A friend of mine she's known as the ET sculptor, Cynthia Crawford. She invited me to participate in the UFO Congress in February of this year, 2012. And so I got busy making a whole bunch of these things. I went with 10 sets, and I sold all 10 sets, and I had a whole bunch of other orders that have since filled. And I'm just amazed at how people respond to the energy. Quite often they look stoned after they hold them for a little while. And a couple of people were like, their bodies were shaking as a result, but they liked it. they liked the way it felt. People who have bought them have experienced all different kinds of things, such as time travel. A few people have seen ships. One person made actual communication with a star being. I forget if it was an Arcturian or a Pleiadian, something like that. And what they seem to do is, in the beginning, they seem to start working on your energy, and it feels like a calibration is taking place. So they're fine tuning your energies. And my feeling about that, although I can't say for sure that what it's about, but my feeling is it calibrates your energy in a specific way so to set you up to be in a better vibration or a more compatible vibration with theirs. And for those of you who've had contact experiences, you know that to a great extent it is an energetic experience. They're being in their presence, you're in the presence of a completely different kind of energy. I know when the Zeta's around, even like that's one experience that I've had on a conscious level where I actually saw a Zeta. But I know when they're around and they're not visible, just because of the energy change that I feel. And basically, what it feels to me usually is it starts as what feels like a light touch on my right wrist and kind of going up my wrist like that. As soon as I feel that, I stop what I'm doing, I sit down, and the next thing I know, I have this cold adrenaline rush kind of energy just filling my body. And sometimes when I use the transponders, that's what these are called, transponders, interstellar transponders, that's the energy that I feel. Not all the time, but quite frequently. They got their name from one of actually from star beings that one of the women who bought them at the UFO Congress had an experience where she was doing a healing session on a friend, and she was guided to use these. And she said it took her healing work to a whole nother level, and that she also had some time travel experiences while she was doing the healing. A few days later, she woke up with clear guidance that she was supposed to do another healing session on this friend, and they're connected to a group, a specific group of star beings. I don't know which ones they are. That same morning, she got an email from her friend saying that he woke up with the clear guidance that she had to do another healing session on him, and he said also that these star beings said to tell her not to forget to use the transponders. I had been calling them interstellar communicators or star communicators, but since these beings named them transponders, I'm going with transponders. And if you look up transponders, it's a device that usually is in aircraft that helps to identify the aircraft and the presence of it and what aircraft it is. So it's kind of a means of identification, but also communication. So these are interstellar transponders. A couple of people have reported seeing ships after working with these. A couple of people have mentioned having time travel experiences. One person actually had a communication experience as a result. So we're still learning, and I'm asking that everyone who purchases a set of these, that everybody shares their experiences. And so far it's been through emails, but I'm putting a blog together that's going to facilitate that communication. We all learn from each other how to use them and what they can do. So if you're interested in finding out more about these, and I'm just really enthusiastic about how people are responding to these things. If you want to find out more, my website is reachouttothestars.com. It's still under construction, but you can get a good look at the transponders and the plastic case that they come in. I don't have one with me at the moment. The set of two, the transmitter and the receiver, are $130, and you can purchase them. I don't have a shopping cart set up just yet, but if you're interested, you can just email me at matrixboy3@gmail.com, and there are 2 X's in Matrix Boy. So you can just email me directly that way, or my email address is also on the website. So remember, it's reachouttothestars.com, and there's a 10-day money-back guarantee on these. So if you're not happy with the devices, I'll refund your money after 10 days. And oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that, I don't know if you can see them on there, but there are some symbols, and these are star knowledge symbols that are connected to it's a language of love, basically, and they all have specific meanings. And if you look up the star language symbols or star knowledge symbols and Chief Golden Eagle, you'll see those symbols and what they mean. The reason I put them on these communicators is that it's a way of identifying where you're coming from. So when you make contact with star beings, you want them to know that you're coming from a place of love, good intention, etc. So anyway, that's it. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll be doing other videos soon This is kind of a quick one I'm just putting together, so I'll have a more refined video up soon. But I'm also going to be talking about other experiences I've had, and I'll be having some other people on who have also had some really mind-blowing experiences. So hope to hear from you and hear about your experiences as well. So take care.